To another episode of One on One with Mitch Lafon. This week's special guest is Alice Cooper, and from somewhere in Tennessee, I believe, my co-host Russ Dwarf. He's joined by Satellite Radio's Luc Carl. Good day, Luc. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. We're at the Metal Farm.
We're at the Metal Farm in Nashville, Tennessee.
On our way to Memphis.
On our way to Memphis tomorrow to do some shows.
No, we're going there to see Elvis.
We're going to. Yeah, that's what we're going to see. We're going to see Elvis
and Lisa Marie,
and Priscilla.
Elvis is the king.
Elvis is the king. Now, the other big king here is the fact that I've got a new sponsor for the show. Isn't that great?
That is awesome.
It is the Heavy Montreal Festival that takes place at Parc Jean Drapeau, August 9th and 10th. And this year it features Metallica, Slayer, The Offspring, Lamb of God, and everybody's favorite, Twisted Sister.
Yeah!
Now that's a rock festival. Or
Long Island's finest.
And Luke, Mitch, Luke, he's from Nebraska. Via New York.
Don't hold it against me.
Via Johnny Carson's from Nebraska. So,
yes, he is.
And Marlon Brando.
And Marlon Brando.
Yeah, so like...
And Malcolm X is from Nebraska. Wrap that around your head. Paul Newman's from Nebraska.
Well, and we love them all, man.
Tommy Frazier.
Okay.
Nobody's ever heard of him unless you're a football fan, whatever.
But let's get right into this guest this week, Alice Cooper. I mean,
wow.
Listen, how
Mitch,
cool is it to get
what a coup.
Alice? It is
what
a coup. And of course,
the best.
There would be no Russ Dwarf without Alice Cooper. Is that about right?
That's an absolute fact. Alice Cooper is probably one of my all-time, I don't know what you would say, hero idols or whatever. I love the band, and it inspired me to be a singer in a rock band because it was just, how cool was that? And in 1973, when I was 13 years old, to go to Simpson Sears and Richmond Hill and find $1 Billion Babies. And, but I knew of Alice Cooper before that when I was like 11, when School's Out came out, and you're 11 years old and you hear that. Man, that blew my mind. And my mom was like, I had a cool rock and roll mom. She'd like, I thought he was gay, but I'll give you the $3.45 to buy the album. And I think they wanted to, and when I was in grade 8, I think they did, you need to do a historical figure project, and my historical figure was Alice Cooper. $1 billion.
That's funny. My mom thought Alice Cooper was in Kiss, so that's my Alice Cooper mom story.
We have the two of the biggest Kiss fans on the planet here, Luc Carl and Mitch Lafon. You guys are, and we were actually in the. If everyone could see, if we had smell-o-vision, we were actually in the Luc Carl Metal Farm Kiss room. We're in the Kiss room right now.
I have a Kiss room in my house. I had it painted by an artist, Dean Thomasek, who is an amazing bass player in Nashville, and he painted my Kiss room, and I have it full of guitars and Kiss memorabilia. And
it's awesome.
All I can say is you only have one room, one Kiss room. What is that?
No,
there's not
Gene
a fan.
Simmons.
That's
there's
not
a giant Gene. There's a giant Gene Simmons stand up right outside the wall, outside the thing here. We're getting off the Alice Cooper topic here.
Yeah, we are.
So this show's gone awry already.
Well, listen, that's what happens when you have great talk up and great guests. But Russ, you love when I say you're from Toronto, and of course, Cooper worked with Bob Ezrin, who was from Toronto, and one of his most infamous moments was a show when he opened up for John Lennon in Toronto, and he threw a live chicken out into the audience that got somewhat torn apart.
Yes.
Were you at that show? And
God no, Mitch, I'm not that old. You people and your oldness. I'm really old, but I was not at that.
What do you mean by you people?
You know what I fucking mean.
Rock and rollers?
No, you youngsters and you
Montrealians?
I'm not a Montreal, and I'm not.
He is.
He's a Montrealian. I'm not a Torontonian.
Okay.
I live in the
Floridian.
I am originally Floridian. But it's funny that you say that, Luke, because Luke, we're on the Metal Farm here, and Luke has a whack of chickens here. And Luke made us breakfast this morning with fresh eggs from his chickens. And when I was talking to Luke on the deck, he had his one of his chickens. Sabbath.
She's black.
Yeah. And he said, we said Alice Cooper we mentioned the name Alice Cooper, and the chicken jumped out of his.
She went crazy. She knows.
She flipped her.
I've shown her YouTube videos.
I kid you not. She jumped right off the porch.
Do you by any chance have a white chicken called Zombie?
No, I have a white chicken. I have 2 white chickens, but no zombies.
And what's
that from?
No white zombies?
No.
Oh, White Zombie.
Come on, you got a Black Sabbath. You must have a white zombie. Come on.
Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah.
So, why don't we just get right into this interview and have a listen, and then we'll come back for some fabulous after show Cooper stories.
Awesome.
The Coop.
Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Alice, how are you?
I am warm. It's going to be 104 tomorrow.
You should be up in Montreal, where I think we barely broke 50 today.
Unbelievable. That's why they invented Arizona, so you could come here in the winter.
Yeah, no, get away from it all. So, we don't have a lot of time, and I've got so many questions, and every time we speak, you keep saying I can ask my 1,000 questions the next interview, but let's get
Okay, well, let's just get going. You start, and I'll probably answer 3 questions in one.
Well, that's how it always is. We get 3 done. So let's start with Super Duper. I mean, here's this movie. It goes all the way up to 1986, roughly. How did you get in touch with Sam Dunn, who's a local Canadian boy?
Yeah, they came to us. They said, we want to do a documentary, but we want to do the story as theatrical as the character.
Right.
Which I said, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I said, so it's not, a bunch of talking heads going, oh, how great this guy is. I said, I like the idea of having Elton's point of view and Iggy Pop's point of view and, those guys. But they said, but we're not going to show them.
Okay.
We're not going to have that stereotypical, cut to that guy. We're going to keep it very linear and very story-like. And they said because we want it to be Jekyll and Hyde. We want to show that there's you and there's Alice and what happened. Yeah. And I said that's great because then it's more like a horror movie, But I love the idea that they use devices that I hadn't seen yet. And so I was very happy with it. And maybe the parts that I like the most now are the parts that make me most uncomfortable. Yeah. I never ever talked about drug abuse.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to talk to you about. About 6 or 7 years ago, I interviewed a gentleman named Prakash John. I'm sure you must know the name.
Oh, Prakash, one of my best buddies.
Yeah, and we did this hour interview where he went into great detail about cocaine use and all kinds of other use. And after the interview was done, I listened back to it and I said, you know what, that's never been part of the public discourse. And I don't think it's up to me to make it part of the public discourse. So I sat on it. I've never released that interview.
The only reason I didn't go there was because I just thought it was so uncool for Alice to have fallen into that.
Right.
I always tried to treat Alice as, okay, he had an alcohol problem.
Right.
And he got rid of that.
Right.
The idea that he fell into the trap, the cocaine trap, I went, oh, wow, that's so uncool of him to do that. And I didn't want to make that part of it. But when you do a documentary, you can't leave it out.
Okay.
You have to tell the whole story, and especially the scene on the Tom Snyder show.
Yeah.
Where
very disturbing.
The ravages of the cocaine really did turn Alice into a monster.
It really did.
It was in some senses I went, wow, that's really scary. I mean that really is a very scary monster right there. And at the same time I went, how did I get to that point?
Yeah. Now, when you got to that point, I mean, you had lost your wife, or within a couple of years. Data and the albums Flush, Zipper Catch a Skin, all that, they weren't selling. Did you think it was all over? Did you think, okay, this is it? It's been a magical ride, but I'm done.
I was on automatic pilot when it came to making records and touring. That was just something I did naturally. Okay. So it wasn't like I wasn't going to tour. It wasn't like I was going to make records. They were going to be really different.
Right.
Because Bob Ezrin wasn't going to work with me. Shep didn't want to work with me. And it wasn't because I was unpleasant. It was just because they saw what was happening. when you're on that drug, you don't feel that. You feel like you're in total charge.
Right.
It's the biggest lie on the planet that oh man, everything's going great. Now, when I listen to those albums, song-wise, I am not disappointed in any one of those songs. I like the songs. I just don't remember writing them. I don't remember recording them. I don't remember touring with them. And so, I really did blank out. And at the same time, there was a moment also where I just went, that's it. Yeah. And I stopped. I just stopped cold. And, that was the moment that, that you either live or die.
Yeah, but the problem
you decide you're going to live or die, and that was the moment I decided to live.
Was there an epiphany? Was there a moment where, I don't know, you saw a bird on a flower?
It was sort of like I finally had eliminated everybody in my life.
Okay.
Cheryl was gone. I didn't think, though, that Cheryl was gone forever. Because I didn't think this was going to last forever, this whole cocaine thing.
But
I knew it had a life that was going to come to an end. I maybe wanted to see how far I could push it. And I did get to that point where it was just me, just a giant rock of cocaine and a pipe. And at one point I was hallucinating so much that it scared me, and I just flushed it all down the toilet. And I went to sleep for 3 days, and I called up Cheryl in Chicago, and I said, okay. I said, it's done. It's over. And she says, yeah, right. One of those, she says, you're going to have to do a lot better than that to prove that this is over. And I did have to prove it. I did have to reinvent myself. And finally, she saw it, and we were back together. We're still 38 years now together.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was never a divorce. There was never there was just a period of time when she couldn't sit and watch it.
Yeah, well, it's hard to be a spectator to watching somebody basically just kill themselves on a very slow descent. Now, a lot has been made about the original band, and a lot has been made about your work with Bob Ezrin. How important is Shep Gordon to the Alice Cooper story?
Well, there's 3 elements to Alice Cooper. There's Alice Cooper, myself.
Right.
There's Shep Gordon, and there's Bob Ezrin.
Right.
That's the Unholy Trinity right there. I create the character. I perform the character. But when it comes to writing for Alice, Bob and I sit down and we go through the songs, and we talk about Alice in the third person.
Right.
Because he's something we created. And, we'll listen to the song back, and I'll look at him and I'll say, you know what? In the third verse, Alice would never say that. And I said, you're right. He would never. That's something he would never talk about. Or he wouldn't say it that way. He would say it this way. And we could be very objective about what he wears, his sense of humor. We know what Alice will do and what Alice won't do.
Right.
Shep is in the same way the guy that from the very beginning said, we have to have a code on what Alice is. In order for me to be able to sell Alice we all have to know what he is. And so Shep has been with me for 45 years.
Yeah.
And we still don't have a contract with each other. It's like he's my best friend, and even though we hardly talk to each other except when we're on tour and when we're, making an album and stuff, we don't need to. I trust him explicitly, and he trusts me explicitly. And we sit there and we look at a situation and just start laughing and go, what do you want to do with this? I don't know, let's drop panties on the audience,
Yeah, but it's a very unique relationship in the music business world. I mean, theoretically, the story should have been Shep screwed you in 1976. You lost a ton of money, and
sure.
And never happened.
Shep said, I would rather die than ever be thought of as being a guy that would cheat anybody out of money, especially you.
Especially you, yeah.
He says, you and I put every penny we had into Welcome to My Nightmare and gambled and rolled the dice, and it worked. He said, every time we do anything, you know, our deal was this: if you have money, I have money.
Yeah.
And there was a point, you know, when I pretty much ran out of money, and he had already hidden lots of money away for me.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that I wasn't going to die from this, but there was going to come a point when I was going to go, you know, wow, I got to start all over. I'm broke. And he goes, no, you're not. I told you were, for a good reason, you know, to shock you back into what, you know, but this money is over here.
Yeah,
you know, so I mean, yeah, that's what a guy, and I would do the same with him. If I saw him in a situation where he was out of control, I would start protecting him.
Yeah, now I know we only have 15 minutes, and I got two other big topics I want to hit. You've got a covers album coming out.
Yeah, which is really, you know, fun for me because all of us started out as bar bands.
Right.
You know, we all started out by doing the Beatles, Stones, Rolling, you know, Yardbirds, The Who, The Kinks, and this is the one opportunity I had where we were in London, and I was shooting, you know, we were shooting Dark Shadows.
Yeah, great movie.
And we had just done a big concert there, and there's this place called the 100 Club that holds 100 people, maybe 150.
Right.
And, you know, the Yardbirds have played there, and everybody's played there. And I said, let's go play there one night, unannounced, and just be a bar band. No theatrics, nothing. No makeup, nothing. Just we're going to be, whatever they yell out, we're going to play. You know, and we invited Johnny Depp to come in. And at that moment, I think the idea was born, if we're going to do a covers album, let's honor all of our dead drunk friends.
And there's
all the guys that we drank with that are dead now.
Huh? There's a lot of them in rock and roll.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. And, you know, most of them were in the Hollywood Vampires, which was our drinking club,
right.
You know. And so, I mean, now I said, well, look at all these places we can go. We can go to Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison and, you know, John Lennon and Keith Moon, and Harry Nilsson. And I mean, so this is going to be fun. It started out with a core of guys and Bob Ezrin, and we just kept adding people that called up and said, hey, I want to be on this. Hey, I want to be on this. Now, I can't tell you who's on this album, but I can tell you that it's going to be jaw-dropping when it comes out.
Is it a 2014 release or 2015?
15. And I'll tell you why. The reason is because, you know, we have the Motley Crue tour.
Right, that's the next topic.
That's going to be 72 shows.
Wow.
We don't have time to actually put a show, to wrap a show around that album until next year. So it probably won't come out till, it could come out, you know, at the end of summer.
Right.
But we won't have a show wrapped around it till next year.
Okay. So that means that if there's a new sort of original music Alice Cooper album, that's not until 2016 or 2017.
Well, there actually are 4 or 5 new songs on this album.
Oh, okay.
That we in order to make it a full story, we had to write 2 or 3 songs.
Okay.
You know, 2 songs to sort of like introduce it, to kind of let it know what it's about.
Gotcha.
And then a couple songs at the end, you know, that wrapped it up. And so there are, you know, 4 or 5 new songs on the album.
Is that suggestive of a concept album, or is it just sort of
very, very conceptual? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, now the other thing I wanted to since we talked about the Motley Crue tour real quickly, just quickly on the Hall of Fame, when you were inducted, they really insisted on the original guys and not, you know, no Dick Wagner, no Steve Hunter, no Prakash. Kiss just had the recent thing. What did you think of that debacle? Should the Hall of Fame dictate?
I can only go by what we thought. We thought that it was absolutely ridiculously impossible not to use the original guys.
Okay.
First of all, when the band broke up, we were best of friends.
Okay.
There was never a lawsuit. There was never anything. Everybody just kind of like shook hands and went on our way, knowing that we were going to work again together. I mean, there was no two ways about the fact that we weren't going to work together again. Dennis and Neil, and are in very good shape. It's hard to find Mike Bruce.
Right.
It's not easy to find him. He's all over the place. He's in Spain sometimes, and he's in Mexico sometimes, and that's why he wasn't even in the documentary. We just couldn't find him, you know. Glenn being gone, the closest thing to Glenn was Steve Hunter.
Right.
And Steve is almost all blind now, but in the Hall of Fame show, he says, "I'll play for Glenn," and we said, "You're the closest thing to be in the original band as anybody," you know. So that was okay to do that. I always thought it should be all the original guys.
Okay.
You know, of course, my opinion doesn't mean any much to
anybody.
You know, to Gene or Paul. And I understand that they, you know, basically did all the work. But when you think of Kiss to the fans,
right?
Peter, Chris, and
Ace Frehley,
and are that's Kiss.
Yeah. So let's finish with this because we're at 15 minutes right now. But Super Duper, like I said, ended up in 1986. Will there be a part 2, Super Duper 2?
Well, the only thing that's wrong with that is that from then till now, everything went right.
But that's a good story. It's a Hollywood ending.
It's a great story, but there's no drama in it. It's sort of like every single thing went right after that. And there was, you know, there's no tragedy coming. There's no this. There's no that. There's, you know, and I sat there and I said, well, how exciting could that be? You're just going from album to album, tour to tour, and everything's great. You know, I mean, the beginning of the tour was where all the drama was.
Right.
It was every band hated us. The press hated us. The PTA hated us. I was definitely, you know, they were saying that it was my fault that Vietnam happened, and you know, every single thing. Well, kind of, but but the funny thing was in the end, you know, we win. You know, I mean, it's like with all of that craziness, we didn't just win. We changed the whole look of everything.
You really did.
We just stayed with it until they couldn't, you know, they just couldn't deny us anymore.
Yeah.
And that was the story. There were lots of drama in there. There's a lot of near death. There was all sorts of things going on. You know, after that, what could you say?
Yeah, well,
you know, it was just, everything was cool.
Well, I guess I think maybe we might need a story of everything going right. There's so much nonsense when you turn on the news of everything going wrong that maybe
I would love to do a positive one, you know, and just call it, Where Did We Go Right?
Where did we go right? There you go. Well, listen, we've reached the 15 minutes. I just wanted to thank you. You know, last time we spoke, I told you that my son was named after you. You had us out on the bus and you recommended Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter to him to watch.
Oh, yeah, and now there's an Abraham Lincoln versus the Zombies.
Oh, see. That's the next one we're going to have to get for him on DVD. But, you know, thank you for always being so kind. And, you know.
Well, hey, you know, if we're in town playing, you just come on down, bring your son back.
Yep.
And I'll give him a list of all the new stuff.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you. Thank you as ever, as always. And there we go. Thank you, Alice.
Okay, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And there you have it, my one-on-one chat with the great Alice Cooper. And, of course, the podcast is now brought to you by Heavy Montreal at Parc Jean Drapeau in Montreal, August 9th and 10th with Metallica, Slayer, Offspring, Lamb of God, Twisted Sister, and so many more. And let's get back to the Metal Farm with Luc Carl and co-host Russ Dwarf. So, boys, what did you think of the Coop?
Well, what can you say about Alice Cooper? He's one of the, you know, top 5 legends of rock and roll music with Lemmy and Ozzy, and who else would we put in there?
It's like 275 yards with a 9-iron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hole in one, baby.
You know, his new movie, his Super Duper Alice Cooper is sort of showing around selected theaters now.
The same guy that did the Flight 666.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, same guys. Oh, that's cool. I saw the trailer, but I haven't seen it yet. And I've seen all that old footage before, but I can't wait to see it.
It's a great movie, and you know, it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray at the end of May. And
Alice Cooper just did a special on Ozzy's Boneyard.
Did he really?
Over the weekend, yeah. It was called Super Duper.
See, but I don't listen to Boneyard a lot.
You're a Hair Nation guy.
I'm a Hair Nation guy.
That's okay.
I put you on every day to hear what you're going to say.
I'm on both, though.
I know you are, but
I'm blessed. I'm lucky.
But I text you and say, when are you on? Fucker.
I get to play the metal on Ozzy, and I play the cheese on Hair Nation.
And
both awesome.
The cheese. Yeah. What are you trying to say?
In a good way.
Well,
cheese, like you put up your nose.
Right, yeah.
Isn't Killer Dwarfs only on Hair Nation?
Yes, they're a Hair Nation exclusive, which is a good thing.
And the Perry Como channel.
Right.
So that makes the dwarves fromage. That makes you the cheese then, right, Russ?
Okay, so
that's some Canadian shit there.
Yeah, fromage, Putin.
Fromage or fromage.
Well, I love Hair Nation, and but this
is about Alice Cooper. We play Alice Cooper on both channels.
I know you do.
See, that's how you got to be a real badass to get on both channels.
That's right. You're an epic classic guy. He's
only like 3 people: Ozzy, Crew, and the Coop. That's pretty much it.
And you can't beat that. You can't beat the Coop. The most entertaining guy that started all the shock rock and all the actual entertainment before Luke and Mitch's favorite band Kiss was the Coop, who did the showmanship and the great lyrics, the sarcasm and the funny quips and everything. And he was just a drunken sailor. And those stories that he told about his debauchery days, because now he's a good, clean living man.
He golfs. I met him one time in Phoenix. He golfs.
You were telling me.
He does at least one round of 18, sometimes 2 rounds of 18.
A day.
Every day.
Yeah, a day.
Every day.
What was interesting about this interview is that he actually addressed his cocaine use. I mean, for 40 years, we've never heard about it. And here he is finally talking about it. It's in the movie, obviously. And he talks about it. And... that's interesting that he decided to go sort of public with it, because it's been a well kept secret for many, many years. A lot of people just thought, oh, he drinks, but
right. When I met him, I only met him one time, and I act like I'm the coolest dude in the world because I met Alice Cooper one time and sort of feel like that. But he talked about Johnny Walker Black was his drug of choice. He never mentioned you got an exclusive there.
Yeah. That's what he said.
But I think it was like 35 years now he's been clean.
Yeah, he's been clean a long, long time.
Yeah, I think he said since 1983. So basically from the Lick It Up album on. Because everything works in...
Lick It Up.
It was not in Kiss.
That was Kiss. No, you're thinking Da. After Da.
Right, but the calendar works according to Kiss releases.
Yeah,
so I agree with that, yeah.
It's Da.
He's been sober since Lick It Up.
Since the makeup came off.
You wankers.
Right.
Well, it was Da. Okay.
Kiss got rid of the makeup and he got rid of the booze.
Okay, Mitch, I've told you my Dada story, right? So we did our first album in 1983, and Alice Cooper was in there doing Dada with Bob Ezrin.
Out in Toronto, or where was this?
At Phase 1 in Toronto.
Okay.
And
how come everybody makes good records in Canada? AC/DC's in fucking Vancouver.
That's right, because we're the shit, man.
That's right.
You know we're the shit. You wouldn't have us at the farm if you didn't.
That's true.
We're the shit.
We have the best producers, the best studios, and the best artists.
But both of you guys have had the opportunity to meet the Coop. And I haven't met the Coop, and he's meant so much in my life.
You got to learn how to golf.
But
I can golf.
But let's hear about the Dada story. So he was next door.
He was next door, and we never got to meet the Coop because he's just like a private dude. But we met all the engineers and everything, and I met some engineers there that were on the record, and they were good friends of mine, and they knew I was a huge fan. So they did a thing.
Small huge fan.
Small huge fan. Yes.
I just got that. Took me a second.
Jumbo shrimp. But anyways, I won't drag this out. But they got me 4 lyric sheets that he had handwritten from the hotel and everything from the Dada album with the lines scratched out and everything. I still have it to this day in my Dada album.
Wow. And that would be actually cool to have a picture. You should send me a picture. We'll post it, and if you don't mind.
I will. I'll send it when I get back in 3 years.
Okay, that works for me. But the Coop really revolutionized rock as we know it. He put the show and showmanship.
He put the shock and rock, man. He was a shock rocker, and he freaked everyone out back then, right? Like in 1973, when he did $1 Billion Babies, he actually did like a mock running for president, and that song, Elected. I want to be elected.
Yep.
You know, and everyone they couldn't wrap their heads around him. They thought, is he gay? Is he bi? Is he just a Looney Tune? And I'm sure that was a ride of his life.
But here's the thing, man. You know, it's 2014. It don't matter about any of that throwing chickens in the crowd and whatever. If the songs have to be good, that's the bottom
right.
line.
And the songs were good.
Stand the test of time.
And the songs were good.
Right.
And you put
those. That's why 30 years later, he's still doing the biggest tours in the world.
That's right, because they did stand the test of time and they touched people. You know what I mean? It meant something to everybody.
I've touched people. I ended up in jail. Well, he goes out on tour with Motley Crue.
You touch your chickens and you end up in jail.
Right.
Well, you can do that in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Phone's dying.
Well, you know, that's the other thing we talked about.
Dying. Our phone's dying, Mitch. We've been shooting off firearms and touching chickens.
45s and shotguns.
Yeah. We're deaf. No
9-irons though.
No 9-irons.
No 9-irons. That's what's great about doing this.
For me, it's more like a putter.
I'm only as God made me.
I'm just as God made me.
I'm more like a Subway sandwich, a foot long. But
Mitch,
who's bragging?
And Mitch, you're missing this fun down here tonight. We haven't even done our first show yet. We've been at Luke.
We haven't even had dinner.
Yeah, and we've been at Luke's house. Fucking. I said fucking. Can we say fucking?
We can say fucking. But you know that's
the internet.
Luke made me say it.
That's the fun thing about doing the podcast is that we're not always in the studio. We've basically got you live, and you're at rehearsals. Basically, you're practicing up for the Killer Dwarfs.
Look, can you see Ace in the background?
Absolutely.
Could you see this room?
I can. I like the way how he's got Ace and Peter on one wall and Gene and Paul on the other. He's even separated them in his room.
I never thought
that
of that.
was my idea.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go. So there we are.
My old lady, she's a guitar player. She's an Ace guy through and through, but I'm a Paul guy through and through. Even though I'm a drummer, I'm a Paul guy for whatever reason. I think it's because of the lisp.
Did you like his new book?
I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to see him on Friday to get my copy signed.
Say
hey man, it's 2014. Nobody reads the damn books. They just buy them. Nobody read my book. I wrote a book called The Drunk Diet. It's on Amazon. It's $11. It's cheap. I say the F word 288 times. It's great to read on the shitter, but nobody read it. You just buy it because it looks cool on the shelf. It's got fucking zebra print spandex, you know.
I'm gonna have to buy that because I bought Paul's book and I read Paul's book and I love Paul's book. I think it's the best.
And you don't read books, Mitch.
I hate books.
We've talked about this a million times because I read. I have a library card and I go to the library. I love buying the books and everything, but
that's how cool the dwarves are.
For those youngsters out there, the library is a place where you can go and rent a book for free.
Well, I'm writing a book. It's going to be a pop-up book.
Pop-up. I heard that about you. Pops up in the middle of the night.
Certainly.
What's your book going to be about?
Oh, I don't know. Chickens.
So there you go. We'll wrap up the wonderful Coop episode, and of course, One is brought to you by the Talking Metal Digital Network, which also has the Mars Attacks podcast and other wonderful stuff. And of course, Heavy Montreal, August 9th and 10th at Parc Jean Drapeau, with of course Metallica, Slayer, Offspring, Lamb of God, and Twisted Sister.
Mitch, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I push one more thing? Yeah. On July, I'll push it a couple more times.
June 7th.
June 7th. Yeah, hard rock induction of the trike.
Yes, fantastic.
Which Luke actually built.
I put the trike together this morning in the garage,
which was awesome.
Very proud.
With Johnny Dwarf and Luke put the trike together.
We put it together twice actually. Yeah, because we fucked it up.
They didn't read the instructions. But anyways, on July 25th. At Bronze Concert Cove in Akron, New York, right. Daryl Dwarf will be getting married by on stage by the Reverend Luc Carl.
Not two. Bye. He's marrying his old lady. I'm just doing the ceremony. I'm actually.
Which one of you two is bi?
No.
Wait, what happened?
Luke is actually an ordained.
Oh, not bi, not that kind of. Oh man!
Oh my God, it's getting ugly. It's out of control.
It's getting ugly, but the votes were. Daryl's getting married July 25th, which is of course my second ever Kiss show. 1980 was Eric Carr, July 25th at the Palladium. I just like
you guys are like unbelievable with this Kiss crap.
What tour was that? 80.
You're pushing in on my bumper here. I'm trying to
stop. Now who's pushing in on the bumper? Yeah. Wait, what tour is that? 80?
It was no tour. It was the first Eric Carr show at the Palladium. It was sort of the unmasked, not tour show.
You guys,
the Palladium. Where's that? In Jersey?
New York.
In New York. In Long Island.
I have no idea where it was. I was only 11
he doesn't
at the time.
know New York.
I think it's in right over the river.
It is. You guys are like sick with this Kiss stuff.
Brooklyn, sort of.
He's from Brooklyn, out of Nebraska.
Right.
But anyways, back to my plugging of my own stuff.
Plug it.
Dunk, Daryl Dwarf is getting married on the 25th of July at Akron, New York, Bronze Concert Cove. Ted Poley will be there. Yes. Cheap Thrill with members from Cinderella.
Yep.
Our
Eric
good friend.
Birmingham, my very good friend Eric.
Yes,
Birmingham.
Eric's a great friend of yours.
And Jeff LaBar.
Jeff LaBar is a great guy. And
the guitar
Brandon Gibb
from Collective Soul.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and both Eric and Jeff were on that Kiss tribute we did last year.
And another guest, John Corabi.
John Corabi.
Yes, which we
headlining the whole festivities, the Killer Dwarfs from Toronto, Canada.
Well, we'll talk about that because I don't want to headline it. It could be an ugly day.
And he doesn't want to be known as Toronto, Canada. He's from like Thunder Bay, Canada.
Florida.
Yeah, okay.
You're from Florida.
You kiss wankers. Kiss my wankerness.
Oh, all hell has broken loose on the one-on-one podcast, but that's the way it should be, right?
That's right. Having fun.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you, Mitch.
We shall do this again soon.
Thanks for having me, guys. You guys rule, and I appreciate you giving me a couple of minutes to talk about myself. I really appreciate that.
No, and Luke, I appreciate the fact that you came on. You supported the tribute project. You're supporting this. You know, you gotta love it.
Hey, man,
you support the Dwarves.
Anything I can do to help, let me know.
Absolutely. Thank you, boys.
All right, baby.
Good night, all.
Later.
Cheers.